wonder why the hell so many people are trying to tell me to slow down. Seems like motherfuckers should be shutting the hell up and enjoying the show.
All right. We have a legend here. Lil Mo, how you doing?
I'm good, and you?
I'm doing fantastic. You look absolutely amazing.
Thank you. Happy Women's History Month is up for all of us.
That part.
Period.
That part. I
Yeah.
love that. So, I
Yep.
mean, wow, like you have established yourself a pretty good presence in the media. I love how transparent you are about
Thank you.
who you are in your life. And it doesn't come across as egotistical or someone that's like above everyone. Like you've made yourself like feel we feel your humanness.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you've done 4
Thank
shows, 5 kids.
Yeah.
How you still look good with 5 kids? I got 2 and I still can't get rid of this damn belly. How does that happen?
My kids actually keep me young and running around like they don't sit still. The most we've sat still, I would say, would be during a pandemic because outside was closed. But their age range, it like pretty much keeps me on go. From my
Oh,
oldest being 18, my
mm,
daughter Heaven is 18, my daughter Goddess just turned 16, my son Justin is 12, my other son Jonah is 8, and my youngest son, we call him Tui, he's 5. So they're all in
oh.
school. So that's like the only break I get in a mix between homeschool and virtual and hybrid because now they open it up 2 days per week, and I needed that break because I was gaining weight because all I do is eat. They be stressing me out so much.
Mm. I mean, I couldn't imagine 5 kids, homeschool. Did you were you
Yeah,
the one doing all the like homeschooling with the kids when I mean there was no school?
it was for the most part. Even though it was shut down, everyone in my family, like from
Mm-hmm.
my cousin to my mother to they're school teachers in PG County, and so I always had help. So it wasn't so much that I had to be super hands on with each and every one of them because it was hard. One in kindergarten, one in third grade, and one going to middle school. My daughters, one is in college, so she cool, and my middle daughter, my second daughter, Goddess, she's in the 10th grade. She's in all honors class, so I couldn't help her with her work anyway because she's super smart. So it's almost like just keeping the boys separated enough time that they wouldn't be doing karate and just being anxious and hyped because they didn't understand. Well, why can't we go outside and play, and why can't we go to school? And I'm just like, the world says that, but I can't wait.
Oh.
So soon as they said outside opened up and they can go for 2 days, they was like, "Mom, can we just do virtual?" I said, "No, you're
Mm.
getting out of here because y'all don't realize that." And I told them because they went therapy at first when the pandemic first started. I was not playing because with my daughter in college being a psych major, like I saw the statistics with depression, anxiety, suicide, and violence in the home. Those numbers rose in the African American community. It said by up to 60%. And I was like, I didn't want anything to traumatically stress them out that would cause them to act a fool when they did get outside. So we tried to keep that balance. And it was a lot at first, but I'm glad we made it through so far.
Oh my God. My hat goes off to you. I look. I can
Single
barely
mom,
do
no.
2. Look, I can barely do 2. I got a teenager. I got a 14-year-old, and I got a 2-year-old, and it is like I
Oh,
got puberty and his bad ass. Like I just, it is too much. So my hat goes off to you.
yeah.
5, and you
Thank you.
still look
Yeah.
good. Okay,
Thank you.
okay. Now
All
you.
C-section at that. Like people don't realize, like, I be telling my kids, don't play with me. Literally, childbirth and motherhood, like people don't understand how close you are to dying. I had 5 cesareans. So every time I gave birth, I was so close to death. That's why I was just like, I take motherhood so serious. It's like a whole different monster that I turn into when it comes to these
I
kids.
feel you. I feel you. I go through the same thing. But sometimes,
Yep.
like I'm still nursing my son. So I literally be
Oh,
recording videos breastfeeding. I gotta do it, y'all. I gotta do it. But you got new music coming out.
Yes.
I cannot wait to hear these bangers. Like, I mean, watching you, because I was a little girl when you were coming out. And when
Mhm.
I saw you with Fabulous and Missy, I mean, I was just like, I think your voice was just so real. You know, it reminded
Thank
me of
you.
those black girls I used to watch and listen to in church. How they
Yeah.
could just take you up and take you down, and you just be, I don't want to hear the preacher preach. I want to hear you sing.
Ha! I grew up in church. Of course, that's part of my background. My mom and dad are still preachers,
Oh, wow.
and even before I started touring with Missy, right, like before that, in my teenage years, when I was still in high school, I toured with my uncle, who's John P. Key, who's like one of the biggest gospel
Wow.
singers still to
Yeah.
this day. So it's like he taught me the ropes of using my voice and being effective. Because at first, when I came out, I wanted to be a rapper. That's why I had the braids and the tattoos. But he always told me, "Sing, you'll last longer." And I was like, "Oh, okay," because female rappers, they were out, but it wasn't really socially accepted. Back then, it was just like they used to say so many things about female rappers. I was like, nah, I don't want to go through that. But shoot, I went through it as an R&B singer, so I was like, I might as well. But I got to showcase, the hip hop side with working with Missy, as well as my song side came from my gospel roots. So that's why people be like, "Yo, you sound like you from church." I'm like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my roots and that's my upbringing and that's literally where I come from." But I literally transformed and turned into a whole different
Yeah,
artist and
because when you
entertainer.
opened up for Fabulous, like that song, the way you just took it up, it's like you just set up the song so perfect. And I can't sing, so I ain't gonna even try to mimic that. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying, it was just like, oh, when that song comes on, it's like, yeah, like
Thank you. Thank
it.
you.
Yeah, and you came out around the time when they were actually mixing, like, I guess the R&B with the rap, and it was amazing. And then,
Yeah.
of course, Ja Rule jumped on it. Everybody jumped on it, and it's still working to this day. So,
Yeah.
it's amazing talking to someone who actually helped to put like a footprint on that. So, you
Thank
took a
you.
break from music though. Was it
Oh
because of
wow.
reality TV, or was it because if you had children? What was the reason for your break?
It was like a collection of so many things. It was me just trying to figure out what I wanted to do because music changes and it evolves. And like I came out at a good time, which was this is like the 21st year of me being professionally Little Mo.
Hmm.
So it's like when I came out, I honestly don't think they expected me to last this long. A
Happy
lot of people
21st
thought that
years,
sound.
by the way. Happy 21 years.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. A lot of people thought that that sound or, that camaraderie, those collaborations, a lot of that would fade. And I was just like, no, I think that as long as you do timeless music and give people classics, even if it be one, two, three, or a couple of songs, as long as you do a classic, you're gonna always be remembered for something great. Like every great artist has that one song that just puts you in that zone, and when it comes on, you just go up. I've been blessed to have a couple of those. Like, so when you hear me with Fab, when you hear me with Missy, when you hear me with Ja, when you hear me on my own stuff, and even with the new stuff, just I've been very selective with what I've put my voice on. I wasn't that selective with who I shared my life with, but I should have been more selective, the way I was with
It's
my
all
voice
it's
as I
okay.
was with my personal life. But I get it. But like we broke, a lot of people may not realize there were barriers that were up, especially for Black women in music, especially if you looked like me with braids and was rebellious and aggressive and had tattoos. I used to wear grills. Like it's so much stuff that's coming back now just to be a part of that generation. I'll never let that go. But the industry has shifted so much. You have to like literally sneak the old in with the new so you can kind of blend in. It's not trying to compete or trying to be like the new generation, but you got to remind them those braids y'all have. I remember getting those braids and sitting there for 10 hours, and they would say, well, they wanted me to wear, I don't know what hairstyles, when they used to have a lot of creative control in marketing departments that wanted you to look a certain way. Now you could come out and do what you want because of the path that a lot of artists before have used to get like literally albums pushed back because it was like, I'm not wearing that. Like, that's not me. Period.
Let me ask you,
So
speaking of tattoos and black women, I noticed you said that, and I do notice there are certain artists that I do see on social media that I feel that are purposely not, they don't get the credit they deserve because they do look a certain way.
mhm.
Do you think that prejudice is still ongoing today?
I think prejudice is everywhere. It was here before I got here, and it's gonna be here after I'm gone.
Okay.
It it's a it just is what it is. A lot of stuff that I see people get away with, I'll be like, but I did that and I got banned or I got talked about real crazy. But it's like, you know what? The fact that I did so many things unapologetically, and even though I might have gotten in trouble for them, it's
Hmm.
almost like in your household, the older kid be like, wait a minute, I would have got a whooping and punishment for that. You let this slide. That's how I feel. I'm in the industry right now. A lot of stuff that I wasn't allowed to do is so chic now. I'm just like, I'm so glad that the doors are open. Even
Hmm.
though there's still, I would say, prejudice, or it's so many things that fall under that,
Yeah.
from misogyny to
Yeah.
so much stuff that falls under it. Women go through it, but I'm so glad that no matter the differences in the culture, the color of skin, the ethnicity, the race, the religion, a lot of women are sticking together now more than they ever have before. It used to be you take a picture or you do a song and you're not even in the same room or in the same studio, or y'all don't even shoot the video in the same location. Now it's just like people are pulling up and just like, yo, sis, I salute you. So just to see those walls breaking down, I think the prejudice is gonna have to start taking a back seat, because women are really feminine forward. We are really the future. So people could either be mad at it, but they still gonna have to get with it.
How do you feel about artists like, well, I can't, I think that's a very loaded word these days, artists, because, you have women like Black China who have made a
Mhm.
living selling their looks. And now they're saying, well, I can sell my looks and rap, or I can sell my looks and
Mhm.
sing, because she's rapping and she's singing.
Okay.
There are a few other artists doing that. How do you feel about people who just wake up one day and say, I want to be a rapper, I want to be a singer, and then they go to social media because they have these followings and they're able to pull it off? Like, honestly, how does that make you feel, someone who grinded day in and day out?
AdamandEve.com. I'm talking toys, bondage, lingerie, and so much more. Plus, they have 24/7 customer service, so you can order at 3 a.m. if you ain't coming, if you get me, okay? And if something isn't working out, you can send it back within 90 days, no hassle. And if that's not enough, you can also take pleasure in knowing that 20% of their profits goes to help fight the spread of HIV around the world. So go on ahead and log on to AdamandEve.com. Use the code TASHAK for 50% off one item plus free shipping in the US and Canada. Some exclusions apply now, but hurry up and visit AdamandEve.com so they can make you come. Let's put the wine down for a second, because at times like this, we need to take a shot of the olive leaf extract, because the olive leaf boosts our immune system and has been known to reverse high blood pressure, lupus, diabetes, and certain cancers. Check them out at myoliveleaf.biz to learn more and to order, or simply click the link below in the description box. Now back to the wine.
See, I enjoy oral sex, but to be honest, some of my experiences have been not pleasing due to lack of proper vaginal hygiene. I went down on this chick once, and the yoni was so good and fresh. It took me on like a whole nother level of just pleasure. So at that moment, I had to stop and ask, what are you using? And she told me, embrace Pangea Feminine Wash.
We all know that a fresh yoni brings on a whole new level of confidence, so visit EmbracePangea.com, and of course, I got my winos covered for a discount, so use the coupon code TASHAK for 10% off your first order.
Well, because I know China personally, and I know her mom, I understand. One thing about her, she from DC. For real though, she a hustler. So from the time she gets up in the morning, she gonna figure out a way how I'm gonna get this bag. She like, that's her mentality. That's how a lot of women are. So if she wakes up with a song in her heart, or if she just like, yo, I'm just trying to get this back. We're in a different world these days. You really don't have to be able to sing like me or Faith or Whitney Houston, Kelly Price. You don't have to have the Mary J. Blige. Like, you don't have to do as much as we had to do or go through nowadays. You just have to have a great producer, a name, and a following, and your followers and your fans is gonna go up for you. So I would say, because she always salutes me and shows me so much love, and because I've seen her like have to go through a lot of stuff in the media. One thing I be about her, I be like, yo, China, she hustles. Like, she out hustling bitches that had record deals. So I can't be mad at that. Now, if they be like, oh, we want you to do a song together, I would just have to see, because honestly, that would be a great marketing strategy, but know how it would sound, because then I'm gonna be singing all over the place. But far as like her marketing strategy and her following, she has a cult like following. So whatever she does, people are gonna look at it. She has mastered the art of like making people look. That's one of the 48 laws of power. You don't have to do much to get much. You can take credit for everything. Just as long as her name is on it, people are gonna buy into it. So like she really, like, she was around some wolves and some real go-getters. Like, I know her background, so I get it. So it's like really not saying she don't sing like Mo, so she shouldn't be a singer. It's a lot of people who don't sing like me, but they sold way more records than me, and I get it. It's not about how good you can sing; it's how many people fuck with you like that and gonna buy into what you selling.
Right. Now, I do have to give her credit. You know, her first two songs, I wasn't really feeling them. I was like, I feel like, you know, maybe she's not taking it serious. But her last song with Asian Doll, I rock that shit every day in the car. I ain't gonna lie.
That's what I'm saying.
I was like, I
as
never
long as
thought I
you
would be
keep working
listening
and
to Black
grinding.
China or bobbing to her in the car, and that shit was actually hot. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it had a melody, it had a flow, and I was just like, okay, this is, yeah, I see she, you know. So I shout out to
All
Black
it takes
China
is
for doing it.
like great production, and people, like, you have to want it, because there are people who try to do something that we was just like, oh, okay, like, sis, what is you doing? Like, a lot of people have tried to put out songs and nobody cared because they know it wasn't believable. But she didn't stop at the one song. She kept going till she found her niche. And now when Outside opened up, not only can she's getting paid more to do walkthroughs than artists are getting paid to do whole shows.
Damn.
She is the bag.
You can't even hate on that shit.
You can't be mad at that.
You
like,
cannot.
The amount she charges to show up at the club is like sis set for life, because she mastered the art of, y'all want to talk about me? Y'all want to do this? Boom. All right, run it up. She runs it up. I ain't mad at that. That's why I'm just like, shit, I gotta get my hustle mentality. It gotta kick back in, because I know better. I ain't letting everybody pass me no more. They can forget it.
I feel you. Now, you did was it 4 or 5 reality shows? 4 reality shows?
I did R&B Divas, LA,
I know you.
Love and Hip Hop, New York,
Marriage Boot Camp, right? Yeah.
Marriage Boot Camp, and I think that was it.
Oh, so it's only 3.
Because I had signed on to do other ones, but I was like, nah, I'm good.
Okay.
But like, those were the shows that I did.
Let me ask you a question about Love and Hip Hop. I always wondered this. Like, you were the only one that was actually married on that show during that season. How did that make you, like, you know, feel? Did you feel like it was a good fit for you at the time, or?
I knew that when I got called to do the show, initially, what I went there for was to, like, just basically, I was going to come back in the industry. So it was just like, it was one of them times where I was like, I'm not doing radio right now. Let me market my way back in the music industry. So what it started out as and what it turned into was 2 separate things. But that wasn't production's fault, because I've known Mona, when I was touring with Missy. So before, you know what I'm saying, when she was just Missy's manager before Love and Hip Hop started. So she literally sat me down, and when production gets tea from everywhere. It's not just the blogs. I don't know where they be finding people or information, but I remember when I wanted to basically change the narrative, because I was like, you know, just coming around, I just felt that I wasn't doing enough music on the show. So it's like, yo, all this stuff is hitting the internet. It's time to talk about it because I already know people gonna talk about it once the show come out. So Mona asked me, she was like, but what if when we get our hands on this information, if it comes out and turns out to be true? I was like, well, I'll just have to deal with it when we get to that bridge. Matter of fact, right before that, it wasn't a reality show. I did Couples Court
Okay.
in between the film and Love and Hip Hop. So that was another fourth reality court show. And so much stuff had started coming out. I was just like, yeah, this gonna be it for me, only because it was the negativity on my part was becoming more of a story than what I signed up for. And I never wanted my personal or transgressions or things that were behind the scenes to overshadow my talent or my gift. So when I was crying and having meetings about stuff in regards to information that was being disseminated to me, I was like, yeah, this wasn't for me. It was a great idea, but at the end of the day, I'm not gonna say I wish I didn't do it, because a lot of things that I needed to know, I wind up like I already knew, but I needed the receipt. But it was just like that was clarity for me, and that's honestly where I decided to be like, yeah, I gotta move on.
Okay.
And so, even though after that I did marriage boot camp, it was just one thing about me is I'm gonna strategize my exit plan. So even though I may look crazy at times, trust me, another 48 law of power, I'm a plan to the end how this thing gonna work out and how it's gonna
I wouldn't say
and
crazy. I would say human.
you're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times stuff will come and I'm like, well, can y'all wait for me to say it? Y'all know I ain't got no problem with saying stuff. Like, one thing about me is I'm an open book, but sometimes there was chapters I wasn't ready for people to read. You feel me? And it was so much at one time I was being overwhelmed and no one knew what I was dealing with behind the scenes. And honestly, some of the addictions and traumas that I was dealing with. So then it just took a turn for the worse. And that's when I knew I had to fall back from everything, because life happens, but I would rather live my truth and be able to sing about it than die. And people be like, damn, sis was dope. I wish we'd have let her know. That's messed up what she went through. You feel me? So I had to grab the horse by the reins and go another direction.
It really
And
affected
I'm
you
glad
like
that I
that
did.
bad, to the point where you felt like you didn't want to be here anymore?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
Wow.
And
And that's
the
big
only
of you to
thing,
say, because you have 5
yeah,
kids, and
yeah. And I would say that's how I felt. And that's probably one of the most selfish thoughts that I've ever had in my life, because I've had issues before with, with depression and anxiety and stuff, and I just never dealt with it. You know what I would do? I'm like, it's gonna be okay. Just pray about it. But then there comes a time in your life where you realize that God put therapists and people that are trained and have degrees
speak on
in
it.
you talking through your problems. And I would say in the Black community, we will always pray about things, and they still would be there when them doors close or when you go home, and that issue or that demon would still be festering. So not saying that God wouldn't remove it, but sometimes he'll say, you're not crazy for going to see or speak to a therapist. Sometimes you have to speak to a neutral party that don't know you as Lil Mo, that don't care about none of your accolades. They just want to make sure that Cynthia is mentally, emotionally, physically together, because you can't heal people if you still hurting. It don't work like that. So every time I put my voice out there, I'm doing something, I felt I was causing more damage to the brand and everything I built, because my yoke wasn't even.
Let me ask you something. So what was that thing, that action that sent you thinking that you were going to go over the edge? What was that moment that social media thought maybe it was one way, but then for you it was another way? What was that actual moment?
One thing I notice, a lot of people will think it's like, oh, because people be cheating. It's like, no, that happens. I've been cheated on before. I've been a cheater. Like, I've seen both sides of the spectrum. And one thing, I'm a Scorpio, and one thing is just like, you ain't gonna out cheat me. So if you really want it to be up, just let me know. We can go. But one thing I realized, stop compromising your integrity and your upbringing to compete with somebody that's not even on your level. Period. So I had to get to the point where I stopped paying attention to the comments and the things that were being brought to me. And I had to really figure out, like, sis, all right, you get your hair, your nails done, and you doing this, but do you really love yourself? Because at the end of the day, you're accepting and allowing things that are around that, like, I knew that's not how I was raised. And I know that's not what I would want my daughters or my sons to be around or to become. So you can hide it as much as you want, but what's done in the dark will come to the light, and some of the light will come out in the light. And it was just too much stuff that was coming out. And I'm just like, bro, sis, or whatever that was happening, I was like, everybody ain't lying. And anytime it starts to affect my mental, and when I get to the point where I have to literally ask and beg people to pray for me because I'm about to go shoot shit up, that's how real it was getting. I was just like, yo, you have to remember who you are, Mo. You have way too much to lose. Forget the material things. Forget the songs you sang. Think about them 5 kids you gave birth to, period.
Wow.
And that's when I got back to my senses and my reality. And I had to realize, I had let opioids take over my mental. I had let foolishness damn near ruin my life. And I'm glad that I had enough sense and enough willpower and enough love from my family to for my sister to come to me and say, you can't possibly love somebody this much. You need to love yourself. And the way she talked to me, like, people would be like, y'all beefing. I'm like, nah, that's how we talk. Like, if she don't talk to me like on some, you a freaking weirdo, like, what's up with you? I'll be like, well, is you mad at me if you don't talk to me like she talks to me? We talk to each other crazy like that. Like, what is you doing? You drunk. Like, that's how we show each other we love. So if she'll text me and say I love you, I'll be like, what, am I about to die? You're being weird. Like, leave me alone.
Aw.
But we've come to the point where it's just like, now, because she was like, you don't listen to nobody, Mo. All you do is be Little Mo all the time. But you don't realize that you're better and you're greater, and you don't realize who you are. And I didn't realize who I was.
Now, you mentioned that the opioids had taken over. Now, that is a very, very hard narcotic to get over. How were you able to beat that addiction?
It was hard. And it's still hard to this day, but 2 years clean, I'm still going. Because
Congratulations.
I realized, thank you. I realized that I didn't want to go out like no sucker. I never wanted my kids to find me. Like, when I heard about someone that used to work for me. He was locked up. Nobody knew he was locked up for a year. When he came home, somebody gave him a bad pill. The day he came home was the day he died.
What?
Off of a bad opioid. Somebody said that they gave him a perk, just like what happened with that girl in Florida. And boys went down there, gave that girl a bad pill, stole her credit card. Like, that happens in real life. I never wanted that to happen to me. So even at my lowest, or even at my, just like starting my day off of perk 30, or mixing with Adderall, mixing it with codeine and promethazine, mixing it with dark liquor, smoking hella weed, just walking around being a zombie. Oh, but can sing a church down, can tear a concert up. I'm going to give it my all, but as soon as I get off that stage, like, where my stuff at? But it gets to a point where you just like, this habit is costing me too much. And not even financially, but it's costing me too much of my sanity, too much of it's costing me my soul. Like, I know that my soul left my body one night when somebody gave me a bad pill. Like, I felt it. At first I was like, this pill don't feel like nothing. I think they call, how some things be like placebo, or they be like, oh, that's a fake joint.
Yeah.
It'd be a cert or a Tic Tac. But a couple of hours later, when I started shaking and sweating and feeling the type of way, then 2 days later, I was just like, yo, I ain't been to sleep. I was like, somebody either slipped me something, a Molly, or ex, like something. I was like, this wasn't right. I didn't like the way it made me feel. And I was just like, yo, I gotta stop. But going through the withdrawals, oh, it feels like the West Wing of hell.
Yeah, I was gonna
And
say
I
I
didn't
have
think I
family
would be
members
able
that struggle,
to.
and it is insane.
That's probably the hardest part of quitting. But once you pass, because just think if you're taking them consecutively every day to start your day for at least 3 to 4 years straight, when you try to go 2 days without it, you sweat profusely. You get so upset. You can't even bowels. You just get so irritable and irked and just like, you know what, I just need something. So then you try to sub out, which is Suboxone, which then you get addicted to those because you don't want to feel no type of pain that's associated with the detox, the like getting it out because your body is literally craving the narcotic, but you're trying to get it out your body. So it's like a fight between good and evil, what you're supposed to do, what your mind says, don't do it, but your body says, I need it. So that
Right.
fight alone was crazy.
Wow.
But I had to do it, not only for myself, but for my kids. I don't want my kids looking on the internet. They be like, oh, your mom's is off perks. Like your mom's is because honestly, Percocet are the next step before heroin. Forget Coke. We did like I'm gonna be transparent. That shit we did when I first got in the street. Trust me,
If you hold on for a
everybody
second,
out here is
Limo,
up.
Limo, Limo, hold on.
Hmm.
Because you're moving, I think the signal is
Okay.
trying to capture your movements, and so it's slowing you
Oh,
down.
sorry. I'm just getting so.
It's okay. It's okay. No, trust me. I felt the intensity, and I'm glad that you're being transparent because this is real. You know, people deal with this every
Yeah.
day. But to see someone who overcame it and went through, and they're able to see that there's a other side, gives hope.
Yeah.
So no, but go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it was just like the stuff that I was introduced to early on in the game. It was just like, oh, like this wasn't nothing new to me. I think it just got out of hand, I would say, from 2013 to 2018 because it was in an abundance and I felt it was a necessity for me to deal with the things that I was going through in my personal life. But I never wanted my kids to get on the internet and be teased, mocked, or ridiculed for my sins, for my transgressions, for my shortcomings, for me not being strong enough to say, nah, I'm cool. It got to a point that one of the people that I was getting stuff from asked me, yo, can I borrow some money so I could get a car? Like, bitch, what make you think that you could ask me that? When I know how much I'm spending with you, when damn near paying people's mortgages. Nah, that's not even cool. That's when you have to draw the line and be like, wow, I let it get this much out of hand. And I take full accountability for the things that I allowed, for the things that I've done, and the things that I've come out of. It's not easy. A lot of people hit my DMs because they saw interviews I did in the past, and I was just like, yo, like, it's real. Like, it gets real. And once the pandemic had happened, they first told us, oh, we'll just be down for 2 weeks. Cool. I needed a 2 week break. Refresh, relax, relate, release. 2 months went by. Well, damn, I thought y'all said outside was about to open. 6 months go by. We a year in. I know there's a lot of people who may have relapsed or who may have just started to ease that pain, that anxiety, that depression. I'm glad that I had a strong enough mind that I didn't fall off and fall back to that because this pandemic would have done it.
It's been hard on a lot of
Trust me,
artists.
it
How
and it's
like
sad.
describe like how it affected you. Like, was it financially? I know mentally we're all struggling.